For the Love of Scrubs was set up at the end of March 2020 by Lincolnshire A&E nurse Ashleigh Lindsell to meet the need for medical uniforms for NHS workers. This original group now has over 52,000 members nationally. This initiative grew quickly, and as national need became apparent, groups splintered off, responding to their local needs. With UK manufacturing having largely been outsourced abroad since the 1970s, and the disruption in distribution and production due to the global COVID lockdown, this is a unique situation where domestic production has been mobilised where industry stalled. This paper will focus on the Lincoln Scrub Hub, which formed on the 19th of April. Within 7 weeks, this group has made 4,274 pairs of scrubs, which have been distributed locally. Through this paper, I will reflect on the similarities and differences in the Queen Mary's Needlework Guild, which Queen Mary refocused in the days after the war was announced in 1914 to coordinate comforts for the troops and those in need, made by women on the home front. Although this comparison to wartime Britain is in many ways not comparable, the response echoes the current movement where women at home are being called to action to contribute using their needlework skills in response to a national crisis. Although in 1914 these women's individual stories were not recorded, through exploring this current Scrubs network, it can shed light on the significance and meaning that making holds for both the maker and the recipient. Throughout World War I, women's making efforts were often reported in the national press as satire, trivialising women's contribution to the war effort. A series of punch cartoons throughout the war pictured women being obsessed by wool. Here you can see an endangered female needing to be rescued from a fire, and when told the fire escape is still 5 minutes away, she exclaims, "5 minutes, then throw back my knitting." There are also jokes about making inappropriately sized socks, maids being so obsessed by knitting they were neglecting their duties, mittens being sent back from the front because they're too small as gifts for children, alongside mothers and daughters neglected their sons due to their new knitting obsession. Understanding of women's experience of the home front during the Great War in relation to needlecraft is only now starting to be explored within academia. During World War I, 18,000 charities were set up. These organisations provided shared female space and a sense of community. Women were motivated by patriotic duty, the need to feel useful and connect with loved ones, and as a way to process grief. Many of these resonate with the motivations identified by the scrub makers today. This is Pearl Constance. She is 57 and works professionally as a theatre wardrobe mistress. Pearl initially volunteered, having had her scheduled operation cancelled due to COVID-19. With no immediate work and the lockdown underway, and having concern from her daughter who is a doctor, Pearl got involved. Within weeks, she was Lincoln Group's Scrub Hub coordinator, having converted her garage into a drop-off point, which is open 7 days a week, 8 AM to 8 PM. These groups were set up to operate within the strict restrictions of lockdown, which resulted in a chain of local mini scrub hubs around the city and county, which meant supplies and finished garments could be delivered. Scrubs often make multiple leg journeys to get to the main scrub hub. Pearl delivers to the hospital 3 times a week. The network of people and organisations involved is vast and includes drivers, cyclists, workrooms which pre-cut fabric, the university, the national and local charities which have provided funds. The complex local networks move garments along the chain to their final destination where there is most need. So who are these sewers? There aren't any records currently of how many women have made scrubs within Lincoln, just the number of items produced. Pearl described that often scrubs would just appear in boxes in the garage, being collected and passed on by family and friends, with their maker's identity being anonymous. The Lincoln Scrub Hub Facebook group has 458 members, of which 93% are women, and 58% of these are over 40 years old. Pearl identifies that there are different categories of sewers: the super sewers who really love to sew, the older ladies in their 80s, professional sewers who are on furlough or unable to work at this time, and some young people who have taken it on as a challenge as part of an award. These are in the main women who already have skills and confidence to sew. Many came from a generation where sewing was part of the school curriculum, and most lived through a time where sewing was an economic way to clothe themselves and their families. There are many stories of those who get involved, and Pearl shared one. So I quote, "One lady messaged me and she said she'd made 6 bags. She'd washed them, ironed them, and they were ready to go. Did I need any more? At the time, in my garage, I had about 800 scrub bags in it, and I was on the verge of saying, no, thank you, not at the moment. But she said, my husband's was just taken into a care home the day before lockdown. I've not been able to see him. We've been together for over 50 years, and this has given me something to focus on. I do not know where I would have been without this. I found myself saying, I need as many bags as you can possibly make." Being part of these sewing groups has been brought meaning to days in lockdown and connection at a time of social distancing. For some, it has reignited a love of sewing, and others developed new skills. It would be easy to believe that this was an entirely social media connected group, and as such, technology has enabled the swift sharing of resources and information, a platform for sewing education and a place to connect. But there is also a network outside of this domain within Lincoln and the surrounding villages. This is connected by word of mouth. Ladies in their 80s who once made clothes for their families are now shielding, having dusted off their sewing machines and begin to sew to do something useful. It is here that Lincoln's own volunteer cyclist has been affectionately named as their scrubberoo, connects those in more rural locations by cycling to drop off and pick up items, some days clocking up to 100 miles. What is also evident is the inventiveness of the sewers. In the initial weeks before accessing local and national funding for fabric, women pillaged their houses for fabric. The running joke within the group is that no one in the project has any spare bedding in their house. All fabrics were being used, moved beyond traditional utility colours to using patterned bedding, and changing the meaning of a garment beyond utility to being items which hold a personal collection, creating meaning for both the maker and the recipient. Motifs have been embroidered, labels made alongside a personal note sent. Requests have also been made by workers, alongside fitting adaptations being made, such as adding extra length to trousers and offering larger sizes. Here are scrubs made by the Lincoln Imps, which have made it to the local newspaper. In 1915, makers were also encouraged to leave notes in the garments. Queen Mary had multiple motivations for refocusing the Queen Mary Needlework Guild, in part to support the monarchy in being a stable force within a time of change and uncertainty. This was a top-down initiative where she utilised her existing networks to galvanise middle and upper-class women. The Scrub Hubs initiative is, however, a grassroots initiative. Within each region have resolved local need and issues, and within Lincoln, the issues have been related to it being a largely rural community. In 1919, journalist Mary Frances Billington, in her article titled "What the Organised Voluntary Work of Women Supplied During the War," noted about the branch book ledgers that contained an entry of every item that was made or donated. And I quote, "These would form quite an interesting library of war work." I don't know if any of these have survived, but wouldn't it be a find? This idea of documents being recorded of domestic work, women's domestic work, brings me to consider what will the legacy of the scrub projects be. Regional groups are already identifying how will they redirect themselves to support other causes such as refugees and supporting the homeless. Women have come together in a time of lockdown and social isolation, and through making these scrubs have formed connections with each other, their community, and local NHS workers. This initial gathering of material has left me some lingering questions. What will the legacy of these networks be within this region and nationally? How different are the groups within urban and rural areas? And would it be possible even to do this in another 20 years? With sewing skills being taken off the school curriculum, are we becoming a de-skilled nation? How will this be remembered? By the scrub makers, the NHS workers, the public, within the history of COVID-19, as evidence of an underfunded NHS, as a good news story, or as something more significant and meaningful? The stories of women makers on the home front during the Great War have not been remembered. Thousands of garments were made for the troops and their loved ones as a patriotic act and a way of keep moving through difficult times. The process of needlework and making largely has stayed the same today as it was 100 years ago, and creates meaning for both the maker and recipient, which is evident within the current network of women scrub makers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Hannah. We have a question from Claire Rose.
Okay, it's not a question. I'm going to see if I can show you what a scrub maker's house looks like.
Hey, I love it.
Okay, can you see this?
I do. Amazing.
Okay, on the right we have completed scrubs, and we have 2 bags that arrived this morning of pre-cut pieces from a woman in a village 20 miles away, driven to me by someone else. Over by the door, we have a pile of donated sheets and pillowcases. Then on the left, we have a table with sewing equipment and the beginnings of part 3 of an order of 150 sets for a local school with handicapped students. And over on the left on the floor, we have some sets that might be required by a care home. I'm waiting to hear back. And over there on the table, we have the sewing machine. That's what it's like, and it's going on everywhere. As Hannah said, there are hundreds of people making all over the place, and in one way it's very heartwarming. But at the point when the local army base gets in touch because they need scrubs and can't buy them on the open market, it's also completely enraging. And I will just leave that thought there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Claire, for your comment. Questions? Comments?
I have one.
Yes, Ingun.
Thank you for making this comparison, and it is important to use the history as you do. But my question is this: I mean, we are facing a situation, and the answer is as always in a way when it comes to production of clothing, something like unpaid, something like outside the economy. It's a lot of warm feeling, but it's like, or also a paradox that we are solving things on unpaid women's work. So I wonder whether you have worked with this side of it. I mean, it is difficult, but of course we are grateful, and of course it's good to do something, but it is also other side of this unpaid female time and skills.
Yes, I hear that point completely. I think there's the women I spoke to really appreciated the benefits that they were getting at this time if it carried on forever. But there was also another argument where they were being criticised for doing something that should be provided in the NHS themselves, as in, why are we doing something for a public service that should be self-organised? I think it's difficult. I think it's more complex than that. I mean, as in, everybody's at this time, at this specific time in isolation here, within this community, people have felt very alone, and it has provided connection and a purpose. But I do agree it's unpaid labour as such, but they're very clear that they won't take any money, and they don't take orders, and they don't, you know, this is directly through the hospital, so it's a charitable act that they're setting up. So yeah, but there is entirely that side to be investigated within it.
Thank you.
Okay, Hannah, thank you so much. It's great we finally made it.
Thank you,
yes.
and thank you for coming back to me.
Yeah, you can actually exchange comments in our chat box. Since yes, we are slightly behind the schedule, I'm afraid we have to move on.